All right, so we back.
What's up,
Sunday.
man? Yeah, my name is Heady.
Trez, episode 2. We back at it again without method.
That's right.
And you know how we go. Just like the name says, without method, we kind of just, two guys having fun, chilling, talking, discussing, getting real, getting personal, whatever, getting funny, everything.
Right. How was your weekend, man?
Pretty good. Pretty relaxing, honestly. I mean, I worked yesterday. I work most Fridays and Saturdays, but after that, I don't know. It's just been kind of chilling. I'm kind of in this weird space where it's like, come on, Trey, you gotta get your stuff together.
Right.
You ever have that feeling?
Right.
Sometimes, like, man, I don't know if I told you, like, I'm trying to move at the end of the month and trying to save up money, think about where I'm trying to go, where I want to go, and it's like, man, I'm back at this stage. Like we kind of mentioned last episode, when you graduate, you're in that weird phase.
Right.
I'm not in that, but just kind of like all right, what's the next step?
Right.
Yeah, but what about you?
My weekend was pretty dope. I had my mom. She came. She came Saturday, and so I cooked some food. Had some family to come up. It's kind of crazy that you mentioned about 'cause I know we talked about it a couple of days ago about you finding the place and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had a family member. She was talking about moving out her parents' house and stuff like that. And I was just telling her, I was like, yo, like, chill out. Like,
They don't rush it too.
You don't rush it too much. Yeah.
I don't know, how old is she?
She's 24.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I was wanting to discuss about. That's one of the things too is like it's one of those hype things where people tell you don't do it and you so in a rush to do it, and then when you do it, you're like
oh. That's definitely true, because like I don't know. See, for me, I kind of word it. I always tell people, it's weird because like you kind of want your own space, because one of those things when you grow up, you be with parents, whoever
Right.
is raising you, and then you go to school like college and stuff like that. You have a roommate and stuff like that, and then a lot of times once you get out of school or you graduate or whatever you're doing when you're kind of grown, you end up having like a roommate or a significant other or
Right.
something like that. So basically what I'd be saying is like the first quarter portion of your life, you're always living with someone.
right.
So it kind of gives people that need to want to, be on your own, do your own thing. And they ain't even going to front, man. Like, being in your own little space is kind of dope.
It is, yeah. I mean, because, like, I just moved out, about 6 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
And I can say, yeah, it's like you can do your own thing, do what you want. But then again, it's like everything costs.
Yeah, everything, man, everything. And I remember there was a part in my life when I was in high school, and I'm just factoring in what I'm going to do if I want to eat fancy. Like, once I get out of class, I want to eat here, eat this, eat that. Now it's like, utilities or, even something as simple as buying cleaning supplies.
Right.
Or, revamping something. And I'm like, man, all these extra fees and charges that you never think about. Gas.
Right.
Gas, normally, like, when you fresh in high school, you get your first car, you mostly think about, gas, maybe a phone bill,
Right.
how you gonna eat.
Right.
But then when you're on your own, you got that, plus, what you putting in the fridge, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But
So-
yeah, that's one of the things I'm like, yeah, don't. I mean, I guess it's one of the things when you grow up, a lot of people tell you, hey, don't rush to do this, don't rush to do that. That and like graduating from college and stuff like that. 'Cause you like, I'm so in a rush to graduate from college. And then when you graduate, you like, dang, I miss those times. I miss going here. I miss doing that or so like that. And then another one is like being in grown folk business.
Yeah.
When you a kid,
Yeah.
you always trying to be in grown folk business, and then when you finally get into it, you
And you realize how sad that stuff is.
I be realizing how petty it is. Like I'm like, this is what I missed out. And then it's most of the stuff like you already knew, like you had already you called it out when you was younger and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's also one of those things too when adults be talking about grown folk talk and stuff like that. A lot of times I feel like with adulthood, it's basically just a branch off from, childhood, except now you have these responsibilities and stuff like that.
Right.
Because I'm learning as I'm talking to adults and, older people and stuff like that, they still have the same ways that you probably had, high school, middle school, stuff like that. But because of the things you have responsibility for in your life, you switch it up a little bit.
Right.
Like if you was a petty person in middle school picking on people all the time, you're just that person at your company talking about people behind their back,
Right.
but you still do your thing because you
Right.
got to make money to provide for your family and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you was a butthole, then you more likely you a butthole.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, the class clowns, they still pretty funny growing up,
Right.
but they might have kids, they might have a very serious job, so they can't really clown all the time, but get that person out that job, chill, have a meal, that class clown is still there.
Right.
So it's one of those weird things where I'm definitely thinking about like adulthood and stuff in a different type of way, because sometimes when you're adult you can't forget the things that you used to love as a child,
Right.
because sometimes they keep things fresh and it keeps you happy. Because I'm starting to question now, because being at BMW, when I see customers come in, sometimes I might have stories with them, they telling me what they did to get here and stuff like that. And there's a lot of jobs that can give you a lot of money.
Right.
But those jobs sometimes be trash,
right.
or those jobs aren't fulfilling, or whatever. So it brings up this topic of, do you want to have a good job to give you a lot of money that you don't like? And then when you're off of work, you can dive into your passions and stuff like that. Or do you want your job and stuff to fulfill your passions and needs?
Right.
It's like two sides of the spectrum. And I'm still trying to figure out which is one I want to take, which one I don't want to take.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's how I feel at most times. But one of the things I did do this weekend too is watch the documentary When They See Us. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that?
Yeah, you told me about it. You told me to check it out. Only seen like the first part.
First episode. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cause when you mentioned it to me, like I saw the trailer like a couple before you mentioned it to me,
mm-hmm.
and I knew it was gonna be good, but I also knew it was gonna be emotional.
Right.
So a lot of times when it comes to, like drama, like that real gripping type stuff,
right.
I kind of save that, because normally I watch cartoons, because if I need to see sad reality, I just go out, stuff like that. So I'm like, man, we about to get emotional, about to get tough. So I don't know, but I ain't see the whole thing. When I first saw it, I was sleepy. Try to give it some time.
Yeah,
it definitely held me, but I'm almost like, man, this is tough.
Yeah, that's I watched the whole thing, and it's definitely on my I can't watch again list.
Mm-hmm. How come?
It basically like there's a few of them on my list, but it's on my I can't watch again list because it brings out an emotion that I can't really describe it, but it's like it messes up. It really kind of messes up my whole day.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other ones are like the 13th, the documentary on Netflix.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Khalif Browder,
mm-hmm.
Fruitville Station,
mm-hmm.
and then this one's gonna be crazy, but Best Man Holiday.
Best Man Holiday.
Yeah.
That theme doesn't follow those other things of injustice.
I know, but it's a part when they like the girl, she's sick and stuff and all that really messes with me. But I'm like, I can't watch that. But with this one, it kind of it showed me like a reality of basically what my mom and grandma was, why they was so hard on me when I was younger.
Yeah,
I think about my mom. She grew up during that time. It happened like '89.
Mm-hmm.
So she grew up around that time. My grandma, she grew up around Emmett Till.
Yeah.
We know about the situation with that.
Yeah.
And so when I was younger, it was you don't go out past a certain time. You come in when the street lights come on. You can't hang out with a certain group of people, especially if it's all boys, if it's all my homies. You watch where you going, you watch your surroundings and stuff like that. You can't do this, you can't do that. And so when I was younger, it was like, oh, this is just ridiculous. Like, this is just strict parenting.
But then you see this show that puts it in full perspective.
Right, because you think you see 5, boys, they're men now, and they're put in a situation where, they knew nothing about what was going on. And, they're basically, pushed, bullied into, admitting to doing something that they had nothing of doing. And so that's you think you like, man, that could have been any of us, when we 14, 15 years old, and we don't have, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And if anyone hasn't, heard of the show and stuff like that, the plot is, a woman, she gets it's like she got abused and raped right in a park. Yeah, she got abused and raped in a park. And it's one of those situations where I forgot which part. I think it was like a cop or someone. They was like, every young black boy, and we need to know where they was at in the park and stuff like that. And basically gets pinned on these young black boys, and they have no idea what's going on.
Right.
But based on, how the system works and how, media works and just word of mouth works, it comes to a situation where, like, they could be pinned for this.
Right. And Tamar, you said you watched it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you get from?
Well, it was the same thing. Like, I was 11, 12 when that happened.
Right.
So I remember it vividly, that whole news thing. I remember Donald Trump talking about it and the whole
Wow.
deal. So like to watch it and see it actually, how their story behind it, man, was really pivotal for me, because it was like, wow, it kind of puts you in their shoes.
Right.
It's like you said, it could have been me, it could
Right.
have been any one of my boys that I grew up with.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it was really well done.
Right. And you grew up in New York, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that like with that situation, like being able to go out and stuff like that? Was it like?
Well, where I lived in New York was more like rural. You know what I mean? More like country area. So it wasn't really like in the city, but you definitely heard the news. You definitely saw it in the media. You definitely, it definitely trickled down to our areas.
Right.
You know what I mean? With policing and things like that. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it brings this odd, perspective of how, your region and area, how, that racism plays a part of it. Because,
Right.
like, me, I'm from the country.
Right.
So, even though with this story, this story was just basically told, these boys didn't know anything, but just their presence got them into a story. But it's also one of the things, me coming from the country, a lot of things is more, in your face.
Yeah.
It's more out there, sometimes in the cities, you might feel it and stuff like that, but there's a lot more behind the scenes when it comes to what's going on and stuff like that. And, thinking about the premise and stuff, it makes you think, how would that work out, in the country and stuff like that. Because a lot of times during, this show, it kind of, showed you how there was a lot of, fight back. People talk about the injustices, or, people, keep spreading the rumors of how this could happen. But, if this was happening in the South, it would have been a lot more active in the sense of, these boys' lives would have been in danger beyond just the jail system and stuff like that.
It's true you say that, because I remember one of the guys said it. He said it now. He said they put a bounty on our heads because the media published their names, their ages, and their address.
Yeah.
So they had, like, the press was at their doorstep. And, luckily in the city, they could say which street you live on, but you in a building. There's
Right.
tons of buildings in the
You
city. So
can't
don't know
get to
the
that
exact
person
apartment.
specifically.
Yeah, but I mean, it's easily, if they were in the country, man, it could
It'd be a different story.
Another Emmett Till, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you think about even with Trayvon Martin, they put his address out there and stuff like that. They put of course his name and stuff like that, and then the media was there at their doorstep, asking questions, trying to find stuff out. But yeah, like you said, like in the South, you see those type of situations and stuff, and you like, if the police don't get them,
someone else will take it into their hands.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh yeah, I know these boys done it.
Yeah.
They're gonna act, outside of themselves to try to bring, quote unquote, their form of justice. So it's definitely good to see. Definitely gonna, watch the whole thing and finish it through. I guess I gotta get through that emotional turmoil and, be stressed and stuff. But it's one of those things, you still gotta watch it.
Yeah.
And I feel like this might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel like stories like this is a lot more, good to watch and stuff versus like slave stories. I don't know how you feel. Like, I've seen enough slave stories and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm kind of over the slave stories, and I like how we're still teaching that narrative of, seeing how racism, affects and stuff like that, but it's in different ways of telling the story versus just your typical slave story.
I used to think, I'm tired of seeing slave stories, but one thing, and someone had brought it to my attention, and it kind of made sense to me, is like, if you don't show it, then a lot of people will forget it.
Very true.
That's how I am, because I feel like that's a part of history a lot of people don't mention, a lot of people don't bring up. It's like a big part of American history, because that's what America was built on. Yeah. And so you talk about the Declaration of Independence, you talk about the forefathers, you talk about other things that have happened, but it's that big piece that's surrounding it, which is slavery. And that's why I say, if you make another movie, if you make 10, 20 movies about it, I mean, I don't have no problem with it. I used to, I used to have a problem with like Roots and stuff like that. But my grandma, she sat me down and made me watch Roots when I was a kid. Yeah. I mean, she had a VHS when she recorded it back in the day, and she was like, yeah, you need to watch this. Because a lot of stuff that it won't taught in school and stuff like that. And so that's why, I care, I don't have no problem with it. I used to though. When I was young, when I was back in college, I used to have a problem with it, but not anymore because it's like I said, a lot of people don't like to bring it up, and it has to be brought up. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, and it's very true. Like what you're saying is also one of the things. See, I probably feel the way I feel because I've seen those and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's also something to think about. Like just because I've seen it, don't mean that others have seen it.
Right.
And just because I still take in the narrative and remember that stuff doesn't mean, like you said, like other people are. So it could be forgotten about and stuff like that. So especially when it comes to younger generations and stuff like that. So I feel like movies like that and Netflix specials like this, it brings multiple sides to the story,
right?
Because the slave stories is of the time of the past, so it's good to remember that and know that foundation. But also shows like this bring it into the modern times of how those same times back then is bringing forth these moments now.
Right.
And how these moments can continue in different ways.
Right, because there's a lot of stuff they haven't brought up when it comes to slavery. They still ain't brought up about the Reconstruction days and how, after slavery, they had African Americans, be in positions of power when it came to politics. And then it was that fear of, okay, they about to take over. Mm-hmm. And then they ran them out of town. Mm-hmm. And most of them got killed and stuff like that. And so I think about the situation in Wilmington, when they put a lot of the black politicians on the train and they didn't never come back and stuff like that. So you have to show that stuff because a lot of people don't know about them type of stories.
Yeah.
And it's just good to know, so you can know you can know your history, but also know not just black people know their history, but everybody know American history.
Exactly. Yeah. It's also crazy too because like that Netflix show, didn't it say it's gonna be like a limited time series or something like that? So hopefully within the time span that is there, it's going to, hit waves and people are going to see it and stuff like that. But we'll see kind of how that goes. And, as I, finish, watching the rest of it, I'm definitely going to take that in consideration and stuff like that and kind of bring in how this was a thing and that was a thing. And it brings forth what you were saying when you was a kid and, your parents tell you certain things of, not going out at, once the street lights turn on and stuff like that. You just be thinking it's just ways of them tell you to come in the house and control and stuff like that. But it was saving you.
Right.
It was saving you for a lot of situations.
Right.
So that's definitely, that's a strong topic. But let's switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
Because I have a question or like a statement I want to bring forth to your attention. So you probably haven't heard this show, but I've been watching a show called Claws. Have you heard of it?
With the ladies with the nails?
Ladies with the nails. Yeah. So anyway, Claws is a good show for a multitude of reasons, this, that, and the third. But there's a certain part of it I want to talk to about. Because it's one of the things, we all black men here. And as black men, family is a very important part of us. Mm-hmm. We might have family members that's, drug addicts or, drug dealers or in jail and stuff like that. But family is always family. Anyway, so in Claws, there's this Russian crime boss. I guess is my way of describing her name is Zlata. And she comes like late in the season because there's another Russian crime boss that's taking over everything. That's actually her sister.
Right.
But Zlata comes in, see that her sister isn't doing things that she liked, and she just kills her sister. Shoot her in the head, bang, bang, boom, goes about her day, and just being a thug about it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things as I'm watching, I was like, yo, that was your sister.
Right.
Like even though like that's somewhat of a spoiler for the show, but it doesn't ruin anything in the show.
Right.
The show is still great. But it's crazy because like that was your sister, But she said this quote that had me thinking. And so when some of the other girls was talking to her like, oh, if you just kill your sister off like this, what makes you think, you're not going to kill us like that?
Right.
Because if you kill your sister, just shoot her in the head, anyone's fair game.
Right.
But then Zlata said this dope statement, which is dope, but I don't know how dope it is. But she said, blood makes you related. Loyalty makes you family. And I was like, oh, man. Because it's one of those things, it brings up that topic of like, you don't necessarily, you don't choose your family.
No, you don't.
You're born into your
family.
Into your family. But your friends and stuff like that, you choose them.
Right.
But it brings this thin line of, because sometimes, family, they can't be worth nothing either.
Right.
But your friends can't be that either.
Right.
So I want to bring it to your attention to kind of how you feel about it. Because me, I'm a family person. You know, I'll ride or die by my family, but I also know there are segments of my family where it's like, you know, I'm gonna feed you with a long handled spoon. You know, I'm gonna talk to you from a distance because you're not that great for my well being as a person.
Right.
But what do you think about it?
I agree with that. I agree. You know, that's what I remember. I ride or die with. I mean, and they know who they are. And then there's those family members that I don't. You know, for me, when I grew up, when I got older, it was like, all right, I ain't gonna talk to you like that no more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just for my well being, and they know who they are too, cause I ain't answer their phone calls. But it's just what it is. It's just
it is.
I mean, because I didn't know how the conversation gonna be, and so you know, and once I got and I don't hold nothing against them, and you know, it's just like, all right, I love you, you know, I forgive you and everything like that, but at a certain point where I'm just like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it to myself.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm one of those people. I let it go, and I'm like that with certain friends. You know, I grew up with certain friends. I'm like, all right, I love you, we cool, but I gotta let you go. You know, that's just how I am. What about you?
See, it's one of those things where I know it's a controversial thing, but you know, you talking about, you know, the element of, you know, you having love for that person, but you gotta let them go. Sometimes it can help you in a lot of situations, because sometimes I think about it, especially when it comes, you know, this can happen in all kinds of families, you know, white families, Hispanic families, whatever. But a lot of times in black families, a lot of times, because I feel like one of the things that definitely, you know, hurt black families is, you know, that sense of, you know, how people say, oh, you know, you might need therapy because of these situations, that situation, stuff in the past. But a lot of times we keep these toxic dynamics going for the sake of the family.
Yeah.
So it makes me think, you know, is family one of those things that can take you out of that mental stress and make your life better? Or it could be one of those things that make it worse for you. But don't get me wrong, I'm all here for family, because one of those things, you know, you grew up with these people, you know, you live your lives with these people.
But
so that's why I feel like it's one of those weird topics where depending on who you're talking to, and when, like what type of, you know, mood that they're in, you're gonna get different answers from.
I feel like family is what you make of it. It don't have to be blood. Mm-hmm. It can be, you know, a lot of people have church family. A lot of people have just family or friends and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what you make of it. So just because you grew up with them, don't mean, you know, they're good people.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes it takes for you to like step away from it, and then you come back to it, and you like, well, dang, like you wasn't. You know, you pretty of a toxic person. You're a person that brings a lot of people down, and you know, and sometimes you have to do that. And that's what I've done that several times. I step back from a lot of things, and then I just look from the outside. And I'm just like, yeah, this ain't what I want to be a part of. Mm-hmm. And so.
Yeah, because I definitely want to mention that, because one of those things, it mostly came from my conversations with my girlfriend Taylor. Mm-hmm. So, you know, she was talking about how, you know, basically what you say, you know, family doesn't have to just be the people you're blood related to.
Right.
You know, family is the people that you bring into your life, and, you know, you kind of trust them, and there's this back and forth thing. And a lot of times, you know, just the people in your actual blood family doesn't necessarily do that.
Right.
So, you know, she'll be quick to, you know, think differently about the topic. But I guess I never really thought about it a lot. So in the back of my mind, I was like, what you mean? Like, family is family. Right. Family is my blood. Right. You know, my friends is my friends. But at the same time, you know, I might bend backwards for, you know, certain people, but it's not going to be the same as my family. But, you know, talking to her about it, especially, like, seeing that scene in Claws when, like, Zlata said that statement, I was like, yo, like, you know, that was kind of slick. You know, it was kind of slick with it. And it just makes me really reconsider things. Because a lot of times, you know, the people you choose in your life is definitely important. Yeah. And something you really have to take into account. And I think it's one of those things that, you know, some people have, you know, these lifelong friends that, you know, can be there for them in times that your blood family may not be.
Right. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of traditions and stuff that we do that we don't realize that's toxic, that's bad for us, but we do it because it's a tradition. Yeah. And one of those things is keeping certain people around us because like we grew up around them, and they say, "Oh, that's your family," and you like, yeah. That's true, but they're not healthy for me. Yeah. And so there's a lot of things that, I mean, along with some other things that we do as a people, that it's like nah, we don't. I mean, one of the things too is holding your parents as a perfect human being.
Yeah.
And because when I got older, I realized that too. It's like your parents are not perfect. They you was born. They had you. And you respect them, but they make mistakes just like anybody else.
Yeah, because a lot of times they're just trying to figure out the process while they have you.
Right.
Because especially back then. Now it can kind of change because how the internet is and communities are, so you can go to other people for advice and stuff like that.
Right.
But as you go back into generations, there's no end all be all type of situation how to parent.
Right.
A lot of times you're just figuring out as it goes. So it's one of those things, you might make mistakes, you might do some great stuff, but a lot of times you just got to make that decision and fully be behind it.
Right.
So like it's good that you mentioned that, because sometimes with parents that could be one of those things too, because I ain't gonna lie, like my mom, like that, that's my world,
Yeah, same with
But there's
mine.
also things as you start getting older, you realize like, oh man, she was just figuring out, just like I'm figuring out right now.
And I think about like my mom. She had me when she was 23. I'm 25 now. So when she was 25, I was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And so I think about me at 25 now.
And you ain't even trying to have no little shoes in your life right now.
Right. I'm still trying to figure stuff out. And I'm like, me and her have those conversations all the time. And I say, I always say, I understand. I'm sorry, because you think about certain situations. When I used to be home and she come home and it'd be like a fork in the sink and she getting like mad, I'm like, what is her problem? But it's like
like it's just a fork.
Right. But you think about it like, oh, she didn't work. She went work about 2 jobs. Mm-hmm. She coming home and she see like a fork in the sink. Like
when she probably already done cleaned those dishes.
Yeah.
And one thing used to get me about my mom is like bringing up like that fork situation.
Yeah.
She'll be like, oh, clean the dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And for some reason, like, I don't get up right then.
Right.
And then it comes to that moment where, like, let's say, give it a little bit of time. She start washing the dishes. And I'm like, well, if you just wanted to wash the dishes, you didn't have to ask me. But now I'm older, I'm thinking about it. It's one of the things that it was just a matter of, wash the dishes right then, right now, anything like that. But she just asked me a simple request.
Yeah.
And she wanted me to do it. It was no time frame. It wasn't immediately and stuff like that. But the fact that I was taking my time with it, I was just like eating cereal, watching TV, it's a different mindset behind it.
Right.
And it's one of those things where what you say, our parents aren't perfect. So it brings up matters of understanding their flaws and also giving more respect to them than you really think. Because I don't know, it's one of those things like when it comes to like, let's say, you're the type of person you don't have no debts to anybody.
Yeah.
You don't owe anyone anything. But sometimes being a child of a parent is that type of thing, it's no equal payback to that, Like I could be rich and buy my mom this and buy my mom this. It's not going to change that balance that's there.
Right.
So a lot of times you just gotta, love them, have the respect for them, or at least have the patience for them.
Yeah.
If they give you hard times.
Yeah, I remember. I know, like one time I came in my apartment from work and the lights were on, and I got pissed. I was like, "Who left these lights on?" And I was thinking,
who could that have been?
Yeah, it was me.
That was you.
I forgot the lights was on.
But you had no one to be mad at.
Yeah, but I was thinking, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's my mom was acting."
That's what she was tripping about.
Yeah.
When she was like, "Turn the lights off because you're not in the room."
Not in the room.
And then you like, but sometimes you don't want to go into a dark room, So like, it's a different story. And I know how you feel because there was one day I was rushing to work and I was ironing my clothes. I got back from a 9-hour shift. My iron was still plugged in.
Right.
And I was like, yo, that's gonna kill my bill. That's gonna kill my bill. I was like, man.
But you think though, like you have those type of situations, and then you got like from my situation, like a kid just walking around acting nuts. That would make you crazy. That would make you lose your mind.
Yeah.
And I be thinking like, yo, like my mom could have like easily just like put me in the headlock. Mm-hmm. Did like RKO me or something.
It's easy because like I have no kids right now, and just any kind of day at work, like just like, you know what, screw everything. I want to be around people.
Right.
Be by myself, and I can imagine coming home to some little kid, with all the needs in the world.
Yeah, like what's for dinner? You like,
I don't know. Figure it out. Like there's food in the fridge. Go figure it out.
Right.
Oh, there's just water in there. Guess you're drinking water today. And it's like, wow. Like we'll just recreate those same things when as a kid you be figuring they're doing the most. They're just being extra.
Yeah.
But if you was in the same situation, you'll be saying the same thing.
Yeah, I've been lost my mind in situations.
Yeah. But it's one of those things, like, I didn't really expect, I didn't want family to be like a huge topic, but just hearing that made me just want to really just like talk about like difference between like family and friends and how you go about it, and what side do you kind of go off of, with that when it comes to the concept of loyalty.
Right.
Because loyalty can be different to a lot of different kinds of people.
Right.
So, loyalty be one of those things when you make it somewhere, you made it kind of big time. You're not like super big time, but you up there and someone asking for something and, you just don't give it to them. They're like, oh, man, I've been loyal to you, this, that, and the third.
I took care of you. I did this for you.
Yeah, I took care of you. I did this, that, and the third. And you're just going to make it big and ignore me. And it's just a weird, topic when it comes to that thing of loyalty, because sometimes, help, of course, you can always help someone.
Right.
But help in a handout is completely different.
Okay, explain that one.
Because, like, let's say going back to that dynamic I just said, you kind of made it. Let's say, you done started a business. You're a good businessman. Your business been successful. You've been making it out here, stuff like that. Let's say, take the family thing out of it. Let's say, someone young, up and coming, comes up to you, asks you for some advice on what you did for business.
Right.
So, you tell them the typical, have a daily ritual, keep your mind focused, follow your passion, stuff like that. But it don't necessarily help the person.
I like Gary Vee.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, true. But sometimes do be spitting some gems.
Yeah, you do.
But it's one of those things, like, telling advice to a person that can kind of help them.
Right.
But a lot of times in those situations, that person might just need a handout in the sense of, you put them on to someone
Right.
or you help them network them to another business.
Right.
So it makes me, want to ask you the question of, can someone just do, what they want to do and just give them some advice? Or because you kind of obligate, especially, as a black man, let's say another black man comes to you, you feel kind of obligated to kind of help them network. Because one of those things, you don't know if this person's coming to you from help has, a business model that's actually going to be successful.
Right.
You don't necessarily know that.
Right.
So you could be stretching your neck out for this person where it's probably going to flop. But then at the same time, do you want to just deny that help to a person?
I have a problem with that because, and I conversate with that with my mom and stuff like that, because I'm one of those sick people. When I get up to a certain situation, when I get to it would be an executive position or have my own business, so I want to help out as many black people as I can, because I know for me, being in a situation I'm in and stuff like that, it's hard. It's
yeah, it is.
I mean, you starting from zero at some points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it comes to certain races, they have a leg up.
Yeah, definitely.
You starting from, all right, you really are starting from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then you learn as you go, because then you're, like that same thing with the family, you born into that family. And so a lot of stuff they learn as they go. I put my family, sometimes I put some of my family members on a lot of stuff, and they may not know about it.
Yeah.
They put me on a lot of stuff too. But then again, like I said, you don't know nothing about investments and stuff like that.
No, nothing.
Or stocks and stuff. You learn that stuff on the internet, if anything, or you'll just be listening. You be a fly on the wall. And you just be listening.
Yeah, you just figure out as you go.
And so that's my thing. I always say I want to help. I want to help as many black people as I can. But I've always been told too, it's like there's a certain point where you got to help yourself.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not one of those people you got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and nothing like that, because I done had plenty of people help me out.
Yeah.
But if you're showing that you helping yourself out, then I'm definitely willing to help you out.
Yeah.
And so that's how I am. But I do get to a point where I'm just like, I'm always trying to help people out. I'm always trying to, hey, if I don't have it, there's some situations where I'm working towards something and I tell somebody else about it. And it ends up being like we in competition or something like that. Because I'm not one of those people. I'm not trying to compete.
Yeah, you ain't trying to compete. You just trying to survive.
Right.
And you trying to progress and grow.
Right.
But, see, I like how you're saying it, because that's what I mean by the difference between, help and a handout.
Right.
Because help is kind of what you mentioned earlier. We don't know anything about investments. We don't know anything about stocks. Shoot, we don't even know anything about, taxes and stuff like that. So sometimes giving someone that knowledge, that's definitely help, because if they're a hardworking, passionate person, like they're coming to you as,
right,
then they'll take the information and go in strides with it.
Right.
But a lot of times in those situations, they don't think that. So, they're expecting a type of help that I kind of see as a handout, which is, all right, you yourself, you don't work so hard to know these people and get, in good terms with these people. But then this person asks you for something, wants you to help them network with these people.
Because I think about a situation where you could be driving on the road and somebody could be out of gas and they sitting in the car and you just drive right past them. You like, well, whatever. But if you see somebody pushing their car by themselves, you might
be more willing to help.
Yeah, you'll be like, all right, let me help you. I push the car. I help you push the car. You get the steering wheel and stuff like that. But if you see somebody just standing there in the car, like just sitting in the car, or just standing around, you'd be like, But that's because you see that person trying to help themselves. Yeah. And so you trying to help out as well.
Yeah. It also brings up the fact of the matter. Like sometimes I feel like from my perspective, let's say I made it up there. That person's coming to me for stuff, I kind of, give them advice and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily help network them and stuff like that. Sometimes it makes me be like, man, am I shady that I put in the work? But then it's one of those things, I don't want someone to just, ride on my hard work. Because, a lot of times in those situations, those people that have made it big, they put in a lot of hard work day by day over years.
Right.
So sometimes to be doing that and have someone that, has been doing it for probably a couple months come talking to you, expecting you to put them on game so they can blow it quick. Basically what I'm saying, it brings up this matter of, is it kind of wrong that if you put in the hard work, you kind of want to keep that to yourself and help when you can, but you don't necessarily want to do the work for the other person?
Okay, so I'm different because if I could put in 100,000 hours of work, if somebody may put in 10,000, I'm still gonna try to help them. Mm-hmm. I'm just one of those people because I think about even like, let's say if you have kids, and I had a conversation with my girlfriend, and she was like, our kids not gonna have no car, and they're gonna try to, they're gonna try to survive like we used to try to survive. And I'm like, if it's a 2-parent household, and let's say if we are making, even if it's making like 40,000 each or something like that, why can't they have a car and stuff like that? Why can't they have that leg up?
See, a lot of times that mentality come with, the struggles you've been with, gets enrich you to, keep striving to do better.
Right.
But I feel like what you were saying is if you have 2 parents, 2-parent household, if your kid grew up having a car young and being able to, see this and see that, that's not going to necessarily make them a lazy person. What makes them a lazy person is not having those lessons, not having those talks about, how you can succeed and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of people that's very successful but didn't have to grow up in a struggle.
Right.
So it's a different, like, yes, the struggle can make you a hardworking, passionate, reach for the stars type of person. But a lot of times, just like a lot of, a conversation, some lessons, some teaching can make you that same hardworking person.
Yeah, I'm one of those people too. I'm just like, I don't care to see people struggle like that. I'm just saying, if I can help you out as much as I can, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And that's just like with a situation like trying to think like with being in competition. I'm not one of those people that try to compete and stuff like that. If I'm in a managerial position and the person is under me, I'm trying to make sure that person is in a managerial position myself. Even if that means I got to leave the company because they try to take my job. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like you got to grow, in situations. And, that's one thing I have a problem with too. Is you have certain people that's in managerial positions, and they have people under them, and they feel threatened. And it's like, why do you feel threatened? And it's because they had nothing else after the fact, afterwards. But it's like if you working like you say you working, if you putting in them hours and stuff like that, you should have to worry about that. It should be, I know it should be one of the things where every person under you should know what you know. Every person, like if you leave or drop dead tomorrow, the business shouldn't stop. It should keep going.
I got you.
And that's how I am with that type of situation.
Yeah, see, I think for me, I'm more focused on like the mindset behind that type of person. Because let's say, for example, let's say you meet a GM at somewhere, he probably became a GM because, like you said, there are certain people that have these little foundational steps already built into their lives. Right. So he was able to get into that GM position pretty easy. But let's say he has that typical manager that's putting in, even more work than him, it brings up the fact of the matter of sometimes, that person in a bigger position, yes, they got the position, but they might not necessarily be qualified for it because they don't really have the drive or the hardworking nature to really, get them there.
Right.
So for me, like going back to the situation of, if you make it big, would you help that person? I think for me, it'll be kind of, pertaining to the situation, how that person is coming about the situation.
Yeah.
This person just, talking to me because, they're a black person, I'm another black man, so they're thinking, oh yeah, he's definitely gonna help me out. Or is they coming to me because they see what I've done.
Right.
They see that I'm a hardworking person, they're a hard worker too, and they're just trying to figure out, what else can they do to actually make their hard work become something.
Gotcha.
Versus just working hard for nothing.
Gotcha.
Because there's a lot of people I know that's some very hardworking people, but you work hard for no ends.
Right.
And a lot of times you work hard for no ends because you don't have other people around you to get you to a certain spot that's higher. Because sometimes when you do everything by yourself, yes, you can make it, but how far?
Right.
Until you got to meet the other person that knows the person that gets you here and stuff like that. So it's like you definitely need other people to figure things out. I don't know. I just, it's just one of those things that, like I said before, I'm in that headspace where it's like, man, you got to get yourself together. You got to figure out what you got to do and stuff like that. And so it makes me think a lot about, the process of how a person, find passions and move on and how you keep working hard. Because sometimes, when you feel like you're working hard but ain't getting nowhere, that's pretty much the same as, doing no work, but you're getting somewhere.
Right.
Because you're not having that mental growth.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So we good?
Let's wrap.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I think that's probably it. We hit some heavy topics and stuff like that. Just throwing some ideas out there. Just talking stuff like that. But we'll see how it goes from there.
Okay.
But I think this been a good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk.
All right, man.
But again, I'm Trez.
I'm Heady.
All right, episode 2. It's a wrap.